2020 is like a never-ending treadmill. Seriously, it just won't end, and I'm starting to feel about as scared as a fat person on a literal never-ending treadmill. So hey, wouldn't a nice getaway be great? Imagine somewhere warm. No, not the beach, you dumb beach. More like the desert. Imagine taking a nice trip to Iran, courtesy of the US military. If you're a homophobic creep, Iran is the place for you. If you like the heat with limited water supply, Iran. Are you an introvert? Imagine being surrounded by foreigners who don't speak your language. Do none of these sweet deals appeal to you? Well, too bad, because you've been drafted for World War III. Guess what I did when I saw the missile heading right towards me? I ran. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite angelic white boy, Hunter Avalone here, bringing you tidings of bad news. Yeah, the USA is looking over the proverbial 2020 cliff at the terrifying possibility of more war in the Middle East. I don't even think a draft will be necessary. People are so fed up with this year, they'll gladly volunteer for the front lines. Back at the beginning of this year, we talked about the potential of a World War III. Yeah, it's hard to believe that was the beginning of this never-ending nightmare, but it was. President Trump launched a strike on January 3rd, 2020, killing Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, quickly leading to concerns of another world war. Thankfully for everyone, this threat seemed to dissolve behind the chaos of COVID-19, but alas, it is back. Watch out, gamers and digital warriors. Watch out, Call of Duty snipers. You're all about to get drafted. A new report came out a few days ago from the New York Times, which found President Trump had asked if he had military options against Iran last week. Regardless of what you thought about Obama's Iran deal, the general gist was Iran agreed to reduce its nuclear facilities in order to lift nuclear-related economic sanctions, freeing up billions of dollars in oil revenue and frozen assets. Thanks to the Iran deal, Iran's uranium stockpile was reduced by 98%. However, in 2018, President Trump pulled out of the Iran deal, and according to the International Atomic Energy Agency report, Iran's uranium stockpile is now 12 times larger than was permitted under the nuclear deal. The amount of material has been reported at 5,385 pounds of low-enriched uranium, or enough for 2 nuclear weapons. The same report noted that the materials would still need several months of processing and not likely be able to produce a weapon until late spring at the earliest. So hey, we still have some time before we're all incinerated by an Iranian nuke. The glass is always half full. In light of this new report, last week, Trump spoke to his advisors about taking military action against Iran. According to Fox News, Trump broached the possibility of military action with senior advisors after the international inspectors said Iran was producing 12 times the amount of uranium that was allowed under the Obama-era comprehensive plan. The discussions included a seeming admission by members of Trump's national security team that he would no longer be president after January 20th. I know Trump doesn't like the Iran deal, but you'd think he would have replaced it with something else instead of just pulling out, waiting for Iran to stockpile some uranium, then consider retaliating. Throughout his entire presidency, Donald Trump has been a reactive president rather than a proactive one, and this situation is really no exception. Iran's government on Tuesday warned that any US attack would face a crushing response, following a report that President Trump had to be dissuaded from launching a military strike against Iran during his final months in office. Any action against the Iranian nation would certainly face a crushing response, government spokesman said, according to Reuters. We already know tensions between the US and Iran are tight, and they've only tightened since Trump took out their salami. The first time Iran retaliated by striking some of our bases injuring some of our troops, but thankfully not killing any of them. But this time, it sounds like Iran is much more serious. And although we're America and we've proudly been led by a war criminal since the beginning, I don't want to find out what a crushing response looks like from Iran. 2020 is bad enough. The last thing anyone wants right now is war. Now, it's also important I clarify that there are some mixed reports here. For example, the initial report claims that Trump needed to be talked out of launching a strike, and the Military Times says Trump dismissed Secretary of Defense Mark Esper along with other top defense aides last week. Since then, defense and national security officials have told some media outlets they worry that the president might begin operations against Iran as his term ends. But this may not have been entirely accurate, because Fox News reports that two senior officials told Fox that Trump didn't request a strike and no one had to talk him out of anything. They claimed the charts showing a possible strike option is just standard procedure. Regardless, Trump clearly is floating the idea of retaliating, and this is a real possibility. This is a challenging decision because we don't want our inaction to be seen as an endorsement, but we're also not supposed to be the world's policeman. If Trump does eventually decide to respond with fire, this could result in the further destabilization of these regions, which just pushes us again closer towards war. Iran is an especially tough situation because although it's tiny compared to the US as far as both economy and population go, it remains powerful all the same. Hillary Mann Leverett, a former senior U.S. National Security Council official, said that in Iran, the United States faces its greatest adversary since World War II. Iran has a large military. We're now aware of the massive amounts of uranium they're stockpiling. They're the world's dominant Shia Muslim power, and they're geographically crucial to the Middle East. Iran is also equipped with nearby allies, ready to defend the nation against Israel, the United States, etc. It's important to remember that World War III won't look like World War II, just like World War II didn't look like the First World War. But considering Iran's importance throughout the Middle East and the increasing tensions between Iran and the US, this certainly appears to be one step closer to a much larger problem. While full-out war will likely not happen before the end of Trump's presidency, Trump will likely continue less aggressive ways of retaliation, such as cyber warfare. According to Military Times, the United States has conducted multiple cyber attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities in the past decade. Regardless, these last few months are a chance for Donald Trump to leave on a positive note, and to do his best to protect the people of America as well as America's international relations. President Trump, you are still our president for the next 2 months. Please, and I'm begging you, please don't go out with a bang. Please give this video a like, comment below, and subscribe to the channel. I'm dead, but it would really mean a lot. Thanks everyone. Peace.